Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we'll be discussing why, in my opinion, In a Violent Nature is a calming and honestly just an awesome film. This is my honest review on In a Violent Nature. I checked this out absolutely ages ago, but it is only just released on Shudder recently. So without further ado, let's get straight into the review. Before we get straight into it, though, let me know in the comments below what you thought of In a Violent Nature. If you have seen it, if you have not seen it, definitely go check out the movie. It's on Shudder right now, so definitely go check it out before I spoil it in this review, because there will be little bits and pieces here of spoilers, so just be wary. So without further ado, let's get into one of my first really big pluses of this movie, and that's the cinematography. Now, this is a really experimental film. I mean, we have Johnny, who is the main killer, as the forefront of the film. We are with him, I'm pretty sure, 99.9% of the time, except for maybe towards the end of the last 10 minutes, which in my opinion are the weakest of the film. However, in my opinion, the whole film, cinematography wise, is really similar to a nature documentary. I mean, this has literally been described as a really calming horror film, but also a nature documentary with the occasional kill. For me, I think this film really does use that sort of uniqueness in its favor. We had a lot of people basically just calling this walking the movie, and I can understand that. I mean, a lot of the film is just Johnny walking through fields and walking through, the fields of the forest and stuff like that. So when it comes to that, I do definitely see where people are coming from, but for me, I just really enjoy the cinematography in this film. I mean, I can really sit back and just relax and watch this film, which is, you can't really say that for a lot of films nowadays. I mean, we have Terrifier dropping in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, so, I won't be sitting back and relaxing with that one, but realistically, I could see a lot of people actually just falling asleep with this movie, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because when you put it into perspective of a good thing, I mean, do you mean you're getting the cinematography right, you're getting the sound right? However, story-wise, if someone's going to sleep, it does get that sort of, okay, why are you falling asleep? It's also got it's got the pros and the cons. However, there's another thing I really like about this film, and that's the storytelling. I mean, it very is much a Friday the 13th kind of spin-off. That's the way I look at this film. And for me, I'm not a huge fan of the Friday the 13th films. I mean, my favorite of the entire series is the remake, and I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but for me, I think the storytelling in this film is really unique, because what we do and the storytelling in this film is basically, you will see Johnny like kind of hidden in the shadows watching the campers. The specific scene is a campsite when they're all sitting around a fire, and you basically just hear the origins of Johnny while he's walking around. And to me, that's a really realistic and unique way of showing storytelling. I mean, yes, it's kind of just chucking all the plot at you. When you feel of it, you're just being told everything, but realistically, it doesn't leave anything unanswered. I mean, obviously there's some questions here and there when it comes to the further on plot, but when it comes to the origin of Johnny, it's very set in stone. This is what happened. He died this way, and now he's back because of this reason. It's very, very obvious, and I like that, because it leaves not much up for interpretation with the actual origin of him, and I feel like that's what's really needed, because when you leave it open-ended like that for an origin story, I mean, it's really going to also annoy a lot of fans if you go into a sequel and explain it in a really different tone and you kind of mess it up. So for me, I feel like the origin story of Johnny is really, really interesting as well. It's very tragic. It is kind of similar to how Jason dies, other than the fact that instead of being drowned in a lake, he just falls from a fire tower, hence the fireman outfit. That's what his whole deal is. He basically wears his fireman helmet, a really old school one, and he obviously uses the same weapons that would be used from firefighters. So it's really unique in that way, and I like that, because when going on to my next point is that it makes Johnny memorable. I mean, when you come to a slasher film, you need to make your slasher memorable. For Art, it was definitely the kills of Art the Clown. When it comes to Michael Myers, you have his mask. If specifically we're going off masks, Jason Voorhees, by far, in my opinion, the most iconic mask in horror. Do I think Jason is as iconic as some people say when up the likes of Michael Myers? I think yes, as a character, but in movies, no. I don't like the Jason Voorhees films, not really at all, other than the remake. And for me, so when it comes to Johnny being memorable, it definitely is a lot of aspects in this film that can make him memorable, and it's the mask, it's the way he kills his victims as well, which we'll be going on to in my next point. But another thing will be the concept of the film is going to make Johnny memorable. Oh, you see this dude? Oh yeah, he was the one from In a Violent Nature, the one where we just walk with him the whole time. Now, is that a good thing? Probably not. I mean, when it comes to some people's opinions on this film, will it make Johnny memorable good for reasons or bad for reasons? And that's going to be really 50-50, because if you don't like this film, you're not going to like Johnny as a character. And they have announced that they're making a sequel, so that's going to be really interesting. interesting. I mean, will it just be the same film but with a different kill here and there? I don't know. That's going to be really interesting to see when that eventually goes into production. However, when it comes to Johnny, the kills definitely play in his favor. And obviously, if you've seen the film, one in specifics, which is the yoga kill. And I'll be real, I was told this was going to be an all-timer. I was told this was going to be one of the craziest kills you've ever seen in theaters. And I'll be real, did it live up to like the likes, if we're comparing it to anything, the bedroom scene of Terrifier 2? No, I don't think it's anywhere near the bedroom scene of gore-wise. But however, for creativity and ultimately the uniqueness of this kill, I can see why people say it's an all-timer. If you've seen the film, you know what I'm talking about. The yoga kill is very much living up to its name. That's all I'm going to say about that kill. If you haven't seen it, please watch the film. That scene alone is worth your time. I promise you. If you can't stand the whole experimental part of this film, please just push through into the yoga scene. I promise you, it'll live up to your expectations. I can assure you of that. And that's another thing with this film. The kills are really gory. Not one kill in this film really is not gory, if that makes any sense. I mean, the only one you can kind of think of is when Johnny goes into the water and drowns somebody. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool. I think it's really cold when he walks out of the water. I feel like it's just a really cool scene. But when it comes to like specific deaths, when it comes to the dude who gets just his head pile driven, when he goes onto this, basically he has this dude and he's against a tree, and I think it's a machete or he has some sort of like mallet type weapon, and just goes to his head repeatedly, and he's already dead, but he just keeps swinging, and the gore is insane. Like, you can definitely tell it's a puppet or whatever it is, but you can definitely see this, the gore going everywhere. Another kill when it comes to a specific person being put into this machine. If you've seen the film, you kind of know what I'm going on about, where Johnny, instead of killing him straight away, makes him like really experience the pain. Basically, this dude, he gets put into this machine, and it's meant to chop logs of wood, but instead he like puts his arm or his leg in there first, so he like chops off his leg first, and it goes from there. I'm not going to tell you who it is, but that is a kill in here, and I definitely feel that the kills are a really strong part of this film, and it kind of keeps you engaged. But when we're talking about the film as a whole, I feel like there's definitely elements of this film I didn't like, which will be my last point, and that's the end. The end of this film is so confusing, and I feel like this isn't really a horror film to me. Obviously, it's not that scary. There's not much tension. There's not much of a soundtrack that I remember of. I mean, when it comes to the last 10 minutes or so, I'm not going to spoil what it is, but it's a very confusing scene in my opinion. I mean, when it comes to that sort of thing, it's just very confusing, and to me, it's just very out of the blue, and it really is just kind of an extended period of time that almost seems like a scene that was put in there to kind of take it over the runtime of being a 90-minute film. And I can't remember exactly how long this film is, but I think it's around 90 minutes, which is obviously the like cut-off point for a feature film, so it has to be 90 minutes. So it would make sense that this film was kind of, has that scene at the end to kind of prolong the runtime. But ultimately, there is some scenes wrong with that film in my opinion. I mean, the ending, I don't rock with the ending, but the whole film, just as a whole, I really love it. I really do like this film. I really want to see a Johnny Funko Pop, or I want to see a figurine of Johnny, because I need to own something from In a Violent Nature, because I love a lot of the Shudder films that have come out. I mean, I am the biggest advocate of Shudder. I love Late Night with the Devil. I absolutely adore this film. There's so many other ones. Infested, I really liked. Like, there's so many, especially this year from Shudder, which are just outstanding. I mean, I'm pretty sure they're coming out with a new VHS as well, which I'm really excited about. And I've always been a bit of a fan of VHS, so if you want a video on them, definitely let me know in the comments. But ultimately, on In a Violent Nature, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's awesome, trust me. I know the whole thing of the experimental side can be a little bit of a push through for some people. Like, me and my brother watched it. My brother had no interest. Other than the kills, he had no interest whatsoever, but I was the complete opposite. I just loved everything about it, so, except for the ending, of course. But ultimately, let me know in the comments below what you thought of In a Violent Nature. If you have seen it, if you haven't, go watch it. Trust me, it's worth your time, I promise you. But thank you all so much for watching. If you like anything to do with horror, leave a like button down below, and also smash that subscribe button. The support you've been giving me on the channel is absolutely nuts, so thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much, and I hope you all have the most fantastic day, and stay safe. Peace. First shot of this episode, Tammy picks this house.
Oh, what about that one?
Now, if you ask me, that is the, worst house you can pick. It has wallpaper on the outside.